Good morning. It is Sunday. I don't know what the date is. Is it the 28th or the 29th? I was thinking about this coffee mug. My youngest is 25, and my older kids were in Disneyland or Disney World right before Tyler was born. So I think this cup is like 26 years old. Your coffee mug says everything about who you are, really. It says Mom. It's got all the Disney characters. Where's Snow White on here? She's back in there. I always feel like I'm Snow White. Me and my animals. Although sometimes I feel like I'm Belle. But I'm digressing. It is beautiful today. I'm going to try to be very active. Yesterday knocked the wind out of my sails. Friday, I think I did my last video and I had all these plans that I wanted to do for the weekend, and my one dog got out, or tried to get out over the fence. Hank, my bougie girl, my escape artist, she doesn't go anywhere. But I thought I had pulled muscles from my shoulder down my ribs. Well, I think what it was, a combination of I am so prone to walking pneumonia. I felt like my left lung was collapsing yesterday. I laid around all day long. I couldn't get enough sleep. The weather was beautiful, but I was cold. And when you go from 90-degree temperatures down to like 50 degrees, these old bones, I freeze. I could not get warm yesterday. I had to turn my heat back on, which I'm not thrilled about because I've got a $500 and something gas bill. How do you go from not having a gas bill because I was ahead of the game to, a $500 gas bill? And it was either make the house payment or make the gas bill. The house payment, I'm like, I'll catch up with my next paycheck. But I'm sitting here this morning and thinking about, I want to be proactive. I want to be able to do something today. Last night when I finally went to bed, I think at 8:30 last night, because it's like, why am I staying up? I don't watch TV. I've got, 3 TVs in my house. Of course, all the computer devices where I could watch things. I scroll, mostly, just for entertainment purposes, looking for new business ideas and so on and so forth. But one TV has not been on in my house other than to watch the fireplace on YouTube because it is rather soothing. I did have the birds up on the TV yesterday for the dogs because they do like to watch it, and that was even too noisy. It's even too noisy. So yesterday, as I was pretty much useless and I'm scrolling through Indeed and LinkedIn and looking for jobs, and I've come to the conclusion, I know why I'm having such a hard time trying to narrow in on, because there are a few jobs I could do. Here's the issue. I don't want to stay in this area. How do I make that jump? It's like I almost need an advisor. Not a financial advisor, but some kind of housing advisor. I will be at my current job going on 2 years. It is a common factor in the restaurant industry, big turnover. 2 years sometimes is a long time to stay at one eatery. The longest I've ever been anywhere was 7 years, and that was way too long, and that did more damage to my mental health than anything. But I've been at my job long enough where, I could qualify for a loan. I've got more than enough equity in this house to put down on something else. I do not want to stay in this area. I do not want to stay at the current place that I'm at. As I always say, I'm getting older. I want to get closer to retiring. I want to get close to my own entrepreneurial endeavors. How do I make this jump? I think back to when I sold my other house in the city. It was time to go. And you all know that it's time to go. You no longer can stay. You no longer can do. You can no longer work in the environment in which you have put yourself in. Your housing cannot stay the same. And although I have pretty much put this house in order the best I know how to do in a shoebox, it has always been way too small. Always too small. And it has provided a roof over my head and my youngest, and provided a grand yard for my animals, which are outside right now, and I got an ear out there for them. But how do you make the move? How do you make the jump? What's the first? Do you find a different job and then jeopardize not being able to get a loan? Do you stay in your miserable current environment, get the loan, sell your house, move, find a job then? How does it work? Do I just risk it all, sell my house, have a surplus of cash, and then willy-nilly live with 4 dogs, 3 cats, and a kid who's old enough where he can make his own decisions and go wherever he needs to go? How do you do it? How have any of you made that big jump? I'm not attached to one thing in my life, in my current position. Come on, Mackie, you want to come up? I'm looking at my cat. She's sitting here, my dwarf cat. Come on up. I'm not attached to one thing. You know, and there's such a big difference in being committed and being attached. And then I was looking back in some videos that I made a year ago, June. Don't attach yourself to anything you can't walk away from. And there's a huge difference in being committed to a situation, a person, a place, or a thing, because that commitment goes with you. And if you are not willing to make that commitment, then it's all you are is attached to something that serves your current need. So as I'm looking at houses, what is the price market that I would want to go? And how, with 4%, I'm trying to word this carefully. I have a 4% interest. I think interest rate is 6%, maybe. I only owe on the house and the car. I don't own credit cards. I don't believe in credit cards because of the industry I've always worked in. I've always paid cash mostly for everything. But how do you make that decision in your head? Okay, I've had a 4%. My house payment is under $1,000 now. What does it do when I move? Having a higher house payment, doing it all on my own, which I have no issue on doing it all of my own, as long as it makes sense in my head. How does it make sense in my head? How do you make the decision? You know, and I always say all the pieces always fall into place. What is meant for you is not going to go past you. But you have to start that ball. You have to start that inertia motion. I saw a really, really nice, very doable home in Woodland Lakes, which is in Sullivan, Missouri. It's the area I want to go. Pacific, Washington. As much as I love Labadee, I can't afford Labadee. There's Sullivan, there's Union, there's St. Clair. It's that stretch down Highway 44. That's where I want to go. I have made that decision a very long time ago. So there's almost 2 acres. The house is $237,000. Like I said, I've got equity in this house. Sell it, provided, a loan is going to come through. And here, this is something else. I'll backtrack just a little bit. When I sold my other house, I was waitressing 4-5 shifts. At that particular time, this was 2005, I was working in Dogtown. Hadn't started my my own business. That didn't come about till, when did the world turn upside down? 2008, 2009. My entrepreneurial stuff didn't start till about 2011, when I got really, really sick and I needed to take a different change, make a complete different change in how I was doing life. But anyway, I was making $15,000 at that job that I was working in Dogtown. $15,000. I was surviving life fine. Sold my house in the city, pretty penny. Sold at the house myself, and my one friend, who's in real estate, she said, "You'll never get this. You will never get this." Not only did I get what I wanted, I got more than what I wanted, and I put down 50,000 on this house. And I don't remember, this house might have been 137, and I put 50,000 down on it, so you do the math. And then the world turned upside down, and then that's a whole nother video that I don't have the wherewithal to talk about right now, because with being down yesterday, I had so many different things playing in my head. I was just wiped out last night. Every moment in my life flashed through my head since I was 6 years old. So by the time I went to bed last night at 8:30, I was mentally exhausted. Anyway, again, I digress, sorry. So, bought this house, 2005, 137. I'm right between the city and the county line here in St. Louis, Missouri. Again, I need to go. The house I saw online was 237, 2 acres. The lake is, I don't know, 200 yards, 300 yards from the house. It's in a lake, little subdivision. I'm sure there's an HOA, which I really don't want. But since I don't have my horse anymore, that was always a factor. Needing to get my horse out of where I was keeping her to put her in my backyard. My daughter lives at the end of Eureka. My oldest son, he's in Imperial Barnhart, which I know he's looking to move, but I think he'll move to the South County area. The youngest, he can go with me if he chooses. He's old enough he can go out on his own. But it's like, how do I make that jump? That house would have been ideal. 1.5 bath, 2 bedroom. It might have even came with a small camper. I have to go back and look at it. A small camper, like if the grandkids would come over, or if, my daughter and son-in-law wanted to come and stay the weekend, because it would be a perfect lake resort home. Because that seems to be how I am veering, how I want to spend the rest of my life. And although my pact with the higher power, is 116, being 65, this July, I need to think smarter. I need to think about finances. I have a small 401k, which I laugh about, then changing jobs. Getting back to, I want to do the farm stand. I want to get my merchandise back out there. I want to continue with content creating. I want to be able to teach my painting classes. I want to be able to teach, my life coaching and business coaching. And how profitable can I be in that decision on where I want to move? Now, that was just one house. I was sitting here in my chair last night, kind of just scrolling through like I always do, and I saw that, and I'm like, that house would be ideal. Do videos and, and cooking and trying to pick up, a sponsor, trying to partner with somebody, because this is the world that we live in. Having a lake right in front, the fishing equipment. Did you see there's a new brand, Bass Pro has it, called She Fish. It is the most dynamic rod and reel for women that you could ever imagine. It's got leopard print, it's got pink and turquoise glitter, it's got all kinds of things. It's got copper, metal fleck. Oh my God, it's just beautiful. So, I'm thinking in terms of that, but then I'm thinking in terms of practicality. I'm thinking, how can I manage this? Because once I put my mind to something, I will do it. I just have to strategize differently, and because I'm doing it on my own, which gets really old. When you depend on others who you believe are on that same path as you, but when you start to look at the reality of they're not budging their life, they like their miserable comfort zone because their dysregulated mind somehow makes it okay. It's not okay when you're involved with somebody long term that you do not go forward and you bring your life together and you make a plan to evolve. Hi, Bitsy. You make your life evolve in the same type environment. Here this morning, I'm playing, in my head, going over what life would have looked like. So, Sunday mornings, he loved to lounge. I can lounge for a little bit. Y'all know that. I don't know. My post-traumatic stress doesn't let me sit too long. I have to be doing things, and then I can sit, and then I have to get up, and I have to do something else. Can't watch TV. We've discussed that. I can listen to music. That was a long time coming, because for the longest time I couldn't even listen to music. That's what complex post-traumatic stress does to a person. And then, you have all the COVID nonsense, Mockingbird media telling you something repeatedly that was not true in order to make you fear-based. Anyway, in my mind, this is how I thought life would be. Sunday morning, him laying on the couch, him watching TV, him zoning out, sleeping. He did work very hard during the week. That is one thing. Whoever is in my world, you must be a worker. You must match my energy in some shape, way, or form. You must. So Sunday morning, him laying on the couch, usually I'd go make breakfast. If we would have been elsewhere, it would have looked like this. While you're laying there, I'm going to go check on the chickens. I'm going to go, and this is just very exaggerated, but you would have to know how my mind works. I'm going to go check on the camel. I'm going to go see how the llamas are doing. I'm going to go out to the horse, make sure they've got food and water. Do you want to fish today? While I'm down there, when you get yourself up and moving, get the fishing gear, go ahead, meet me down. You go to the pond. I'm going to throw a load of laundry in. I'm going to pull the other clothes out. I'm going to hang it on the line. I'm going to pull something out of the freezer from some butcher that we got from somewhere down the road. And I'll meet you at the pond. Let's fish today. Grab a cooler. Grab some wine. Grab some ice. Grab my chili cheese Fritos. Grab a Diet Dr. Pepper. You get whatever you're drinking, your beverage of adult choice. Make sure we've got the night crawlers, and make sure you've got your fishing equipment, because we all know my tackle box really lacks, and I think I just carry it around for show. But it was my dad's, and my dad's Boy Scout knife is in there, and I love that thing. That is probably the only thing I still have from my dad. That's what life would have looked like. It would have been very much downtime. What would that Saturday have looked like? We probably would have gotten up, we would have straightened the house, we would have run into town to go to the grocery store, we would have stopped at that local butcher, because by now our freezer would be full, or getting full, knowing nicer weather was coming, and instead of, running all over willy-nilly, the freezer would have been stocked. We would have probably stopped off somewhere, maybe a thrift store. We would have eaten out, would have had a few drinks, maybe, because I'm not drinking a whole lot. I'm finding that sugar and alcohol does not really do my system good at this point in life. And I've never been a big drinker to begin with. But anyway, that's what life would have looked like. That is the vision that I hold in my head. And then by the time Monday came, he would go off to do his job in his miserable environment. I most likely would have worked on my business, would have looked to see what stock I had, because I would have a farm stand. And maybe it wouldn't be called a farm stand. Maybe it would be some shed on the side of our road that could house, my merchandise, my baked goods, my sauce that you would all kill for. I promise you, you would just die over my sauce. If we had any produce, it would be there. I'd be able to teach my art classes. I'd be able to promote in real time. When you were in those smaller rural areas, when women are looking for something to do, and we are all at this point in life where, what friends do we really have? Because the division after COVID became so prevalent, and the energy exchange was so much, it destroyed friendships. It destroyed families. And now that division is still there. And there are many of us who don't have any friends anymore. And, it doesn't help either that way back 10 years, the friends that I thought I had really weren't my friends at all. They were convenient of fine feathered friends, what worked for them, and whose side they took with the abuser. So here I am now thinking, I know what life was supposed to look like over the last 6 years, but how is it now going to look for the next 6 years? And how am I going to be able to continue on this path, on this stream, leaving a work environment that is not doing anything for me? I am not making any money. I am not physically happy. I am not mentally in the place I need to be. And it's not a matter of I don't like anybody. It's I do not align with the way that they are offering whatever it is that they have going on. I just don't agree with it at all. And I see the pitfalls. And that comes from almost 33 years now being in the food and beverage industry. It has changed that much. And where at one time in my much younger days, I would go to work and that would be my fun environment. My social. I had friends that I would see. I had good acquaintances. I had great customers. That life no longer exists. So therefore, the environment in which I am now, I'm finding it's making me sick. It's making me so unhappy. The term is adonia, Adhenioa, where you find no joy, you find no passion, you have no happiness because you were so stressed out and you were so burnt out in the life that you've been trying to continue to live that has created such a post-traumatic stress disorder. And when your finances, you can't get them right, or you think you're at this peak of finally, and then the bottom drops out on you, it creates more stress. It creates more burnout. I'm Kitryn Marie. I reside in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm right at the city-county line. I am an artist. I am a writer. I'm an author. Published book, When He Had Her, available on Amazon. I teach a variety of art and communication classes based in life coaching. I business coach creative-minded women who want to start side hustles. This is Macaroni. She's my dwarf cat. That's Bits. But it's time for a change. And when you look at how life was supposed to be, and again, the rug gets pulled out from under your feet because the person that you had been making this grand plan with could not get himself out of his own misery. And when you're left with what you began with, when you are left with the nothing that you didn't want to begin with, how are you rebuilding? What are the steps? How are you reclaiming a new life to get you back to the person you always wanted to be? And when you've depended on other people to help you build along the way. I was listening, I'm digressing one more time. I was listening to a blue collar wife on TikTok, and I was trying to download her video, but she's got the download turned off. She says, I want for nothing. She said, and I don't ask for anything. She goes, it's not like I want designer shoes and diamond rings and a designer purse. She said, but I will make mention to my husband, I really need a new shelf in my closet. And she said before she can even get the tape measure out, he's already outside cutting a board. She said, you know, I'd really like to have a greenhouse attached to our home. She said no sooner than she was trying to look for pictures on Pinterest, he had already had his tape measure out, walking around with his cup of coffee, trying to sum up where the wires were and how he could build and extend. She said, I want for nothing. I can barely talk about it. And he knows me so well, he will be on it before I can even get the specs to how I see it in my head. Men, do better. You know, maybe it is a money issue. Maybe it is, you don't have that extra expense in your budget that you can build extravagantly like that. But know what she wants and act upon it, as simple as have that pot of coffee going in the morning before she even wakes up. Have your clothes, although she might do your laundry, have it sitting in the laundry room. Hang your towels in the bathroom. Make sure she has gas in her car. Make sure all the fluids are filled. I went to go get the air checked in my back tire. Remember I had said that? I had a nail in it. I could see the nail because when I went out, I knew I was going to get the tire checked, and when I went out, I could see the nail and the tire went flat. I go to take it to the tire place. I tell them, there's a nail. I can't talk now. There's a nail in this one. That tire is getting low. They just don't hold air. And the guy's telling me, when it's hot and then it goes to cold, it does something to the air, so on and so forth. I don't know. I get in my car. I know I have oil in it, and I put gas in it, and I go. He says, now you know you need to have 38 pounds in your tires, right? 38 pounds of air. And I'm like, no, I didn't know that. I said, my kid's been putting air in the tires. We've been putting like 28 pounds. Should have seen his head turn around and look at me. He goes, ma'am, you do not drive on 28 pounds of air. He says, you have a Jeep. He said, you need 38 to 40 pounds. I didn't know. Nobody told me. There's no manual. I don't even think it says in the vehicle. My point being, men, if you have a woman and you know she is your woman and you are caring for her and you are knowing her like second skin, know the things that she needs before she even needs to ask you. Know the life that she wants to live to make your life better, and then act upon it. Build upon it. Match her energy. Match her vision. And don't disappoint her. And don't string her along, allowing her to think that you want the same things that she wants when you have no desire to change the way that you are living life. I have seen way too many women get strung along, and they are, in the end, empty and depleted, and they've beat their head against the wall, trying to make life better when life doesn't need to be complicated. It's a very simple life and very simple principles if you are with the correct person. And I teach that in my vision board class when we are talking about healthy relationships, matching energies, vibing in environments, bringing peace, working on health and longevity. There are more years behind us than there is in front of us. What's left? Are you going to continue on this downward world spiral of nothing, in this black abyss? You go to work, you're miserable, you're surrounded with people who are less intelligent than you. You come home, you're renting from somebody you should no longer be renting from. You have somebody that wants to build this beautiful life with you, and you flat refuse because it requires change, and it requires you to alter the way that you do things and the way that you see things. Again, I'm Kitryn Marie, an artist, writer, speaker, life, and a business coach, reside in St. Louis, Missouri. For today, for tomorrow, be happy, be blessed, be thankful for everything. Remember, fate turns on a dime. It is up to you to decide what side of the coin you want to be on. I'm not real sure what I'm going to do today, but I know today I need to be very much productive. But y'all take care, stay tuned, make that plan, make that vision. Reach out if you want to take an art communication class, kitrynmarie@gmail.com. Going to continue to look for houses, going to continue to look for how I can make this jump from here to there to get to the life that I know I deserve. But y'all take care, and I'll see you real soon. Enjoy the day. It's beautiful here in St. Louis. Take care. Bye.